With that, we'd like to introduce Quentin Farley. Quentin has an office down on the second floor, right around the corner from me, and I've known Quentin for a long time. He's got a lot of terrific business experience in a lot of different areas, and he now works for Nebraska Business Development Center, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. There it is, right there. That's a lot easier to look at than say, I'll tell you that. But with that, we'll turn it over to Quentin, and he's going to talk about whether government contracting might be a fit for your business. The government spends a lot of money, and you might as well get some of it.
Thank you, Steve. First order of business, though, I have a sign-up sheet that I'd like you to sign in, because nothing's official to the government unless people say that they're officially here. So if you could sign that for me, that'd be great. Thank you for braving the coldest day of the year so far. Well, this fall season, winter season. And please, eat up those donuts back there. I used to work for a company where we had a monthly all-staff meeting, and if you showed up late, the penalty was you had to bring donuts for everyone the next all-staff meeting. And when the company was only 15 employees or so, that wasn't a big deal. When it got to be about 50, it was a big deal, wasn't it, Tamara? So, the owner once in a while would leave it up to the group if there was a hardship involved why the person was late as to whether donuts would be relegated to that person the next meeting, and almost always it was resounding, everybody screaming donuts. There was no mercy when it came to those sugar pills, so please go ahead. As Steve said, I'm Quentin Farley. I work for the Nebraska Business Development Center, PTAC division, which is Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. I am a PTAC counselor. Nebraska Business Development Center is headquartered out of the University of Nebraska, Omaha. So I am in a satellite office here, and I assist businesses in the southeast corner of Nebraska, 17 counties in southeast Nebraska. A little bit about my previous work experience. I've worked in advertising, marketing, and training for over 30 years. And all of that experience has been in Lincoln or southeast Nebraska. So I've been serving businesses in this part of the state for a good long time. I did a lot of work with the state of Nebraska and some federal contracts. I grew up in southeast Nebraska. I'm originally from Syracuse, so not far from Lincoln here. And it was almost exactly a year ago that I came to my first Perk Up Thursday, looking for a new opportunity. Wanted to get out of where I was at, and was just kind of looking. And the day before I came to Perk Up Thursday, a person recommended I look into an open position with Nebraska Business Development Center. It's a PTAC counselor. I'm like, what's a PTAC? I had no idea. And came to Perk Up Thursday, and the counselor currently in the position sat right behind me and got up and introduced himself like y'all did here this morning. And next thing I knew, I was taking over that office. So it was just all new. So I've been doing some government contracting, been doing some marketing, been doing some training. I've been serving southeast Nebraska, so it seemed like a real good fit. So what we'll cover here today is, first of all, why should you sell to the government? There are varying reasons why. Everybody has their own, and I'll go over those, give you something to think about. Next will be, does the government buy what I'm selling? And there are ways to figure that out. I'll show you that. Third topic will be, and how do I research opportunities to help you decide? And I really strongly encourage doing the research before you get into doing all the registrations and that are required in selling to the government. And then last will be, how do I sell to the government? So those are the four main areas we'll cover today. So first of all, why should you sell to the government? Well, we'll define government here. Government is any federal, state, local government entity, universities, public schools, any publicly funded entity is considered government. And so that's, when you think about it, that's quite a few opportunities in those areas. Another reason would be public funding equals public information. So that will really help in your research as to why you should sell. See if they're buying what you're selling and how much and at what cost. But we'll go get more into that later. The government recognizes that small business really drives our economy. They get it. They understand it. 95% of all new jobs in the U.S. are created by small businesses. That's a huge number. That gets the government's attention. So the government procurement policy is set to provide, in quotes here, maximum practicable opportunities for small business. There are obviously some things that small businesses just can't do, like build aircraft carriers or fighter jets. You know, there are some large things that small businesses just can't do. In Nebraska, last year, a little over $1 billion were spent by the federal government in Nebraska. 46% of that went to small businesses. That's a lot of money. So when you add in the state and local and university and public school opportunities, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Also, for federal contracting, there's a lot of socioeconomic designations that give you a leg up on other companies in securing solicitations and contracts. So, and I can help you identify those, see if you qualify for them. And I'm not going to get into the weeds of those because there's a number of them. And the last one, and which may be the most important one for small businesses, is that the government is a guaranteed pay. And if you've been in your business for a while, you'll know you don't always get paid by your clients, and that can cause a financial hardship on your business. So, and they're a timely pay as well. It is a federal mandate that they pay within 30 or pay interest. So that is another good reason to do business. So does the government buy what I'm selling? Well, the federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world. So most likely they're buying what you're selling. You know, there are a lot of specialty businesses that they may not, but you can always do your homework to find out. They like to work with proven businesses, so they like to see a track record. So startups aren't necessarily the most appealing to them, but if you have a unique product or service, they will work with you. They like to work with businesses who are financially stable as well. In other words, they want to make sure that you don't owe any back taxes. They'll be checked. That's the very first thing they check out when you apply to do business with them. So if you're going into government contracting thinking it's going to save your business, it takes a while to ramp up and actually get business with the government. It is a process. So you'll want to be in good financial standing when you go into this endeavor. As I mentioned, you need to register with the federal government. There are various things you need to register. You need to be registered with the state. You need to have a DUNS number. You need to register in the system for awards management, and all that I can help you with. You'll probably, if you've been in business a little while, you probably already have a DUNS number and don't know it. But there's other registrations I can help you figure all that out and get through all the proper registrations. The federal government is a little bit more difficult, so you may want to start local. Look for opportunities locally and kind of build a track record of working with the government. That will make you even more appealing to the federal government. And then the other thing you might want to be aware of is there's varying levels of purchasing power by government entities. They can do what are called micro purchases. So anything under $3,500, all they need to do is get a quote from you. They don't have to publicize the work. They don't have to put it out for bid. All they need to do is get a quote from you and pay you. So that, if you are offering any product or service under that threshold, that is a really good way to get in and get work with the local entities and even federal entities. Then there are varying levels from 3,500 to 2,500. There's informal bidding processes where they don't have to post publicly. County and city, you would have to post that publicly, but federally you do not. There's a simplified acquisition threshold, which is up to $150,000, in which that gets you some of these set-asides to these special designations, like women-owned small business, or minority-owned small business, or service-disabled vet-owned small business. There's all kinds of those. And then anything over those amounts, they need to put out in a formal solicitation and bidding process. So now we get to the real fun part. And this is the part that I really like, and there's new tools coming out all the time to assist with this. But how do I research opportunities to help, just to help decide if it's worth going after these government contracts and then going after them? So as I mentioned earlier, public dollars mean public information. So this is public money being spent, they're being held accountable, so they have to keep track and they have to post it on websites. So if it's posted on websites, there are tools out there to drag those websites to get that information. And as I said, there's new ones coming out all the time, and I can help you find those sites and search those sites to pull information together. Federally, how you would search these sites, they like to classify businesses in their own particular classification system. And there's two of them out there called North American Industrial Classification System that they use, or Federal Supply Codes. They like to use those, and once you find where your business fits in that, you can do the research with that. State and local keywords that describe your business is the best way to go. Lincoln Lancaster, University of Nebraska, they have electronic procurement sites. The state of Nebraska is not there yet, which is really disappointing, and it makes it a little more difficult to find information with the state, but Lincoln Lancaster County University are much easier to find information on. So what will this information tell you? It tells you who's buying it, which agency, tells you how much they're spending, tells you who the current vendor is, tells you how much they're paying them. So now you can do research on your competition as to, okay, what are these guys charging? Tells you the contracting officer's name, so now you got a contact, who to call. And sometimes it'll also include the project manager. Contract officers, they're responsible for making sure the solicitation is in order when it gets put out for bid. The project managers are usually the ones who are requesting the work, and they're the ones who write up the description for the solicitation. So project managers are your target, but contracting officers are kind of your gateway. So you can use this information to determine, okay, how much are they spending? And what's my competition charging for it? And if you can compete with that, then you should definitely get your hat in the ring. It also tells you when the current contracts are expiring. So you'll know exactly when to start targeting your project managers and contracting officers for information and getting information in front of them. So you'll want to start establishing those relationships. So who are these project managers? we're just in this faceless government entity. They're real people that live in your community. So you just need to find them and start making contacts. So which gets to the last part here. This the number 5 is, how should you sell to the government? Well, first of all, get registered on all the appropriate websites, and so that you can start receiving solicitation notices. And just because you're in doesn't mean you're going to get business. You have to market to these people. How do you market to your current clients now? Think about that. How do you grow your current business? Well, you do like what you're doing here. You get out there and you make relationships. So with government contracting, all these people's names are out there. So you can find them if you do your research, and then you just need to find ways to connect with them. You can send information to them directly. You can find out where they're going, what societies they belong to. You just need to find out where they are and start connecting with them. And you need to do your research with the public information that's available. Another thing you need to do is know what sets your business apart from any other business. That's going to get their attention then once you start talking with them. It's not always price driven with the government. It can be very much service driven. And do you fit what they're trying to accomplish? Or do you have a way of accomplishing it that's different than your competition? So how you communicate that with the government is they like to see a resume, which they refer to as a capability statement. And that puts all your company information in there, all your registration information that they feel is important, kind of summarizes your past experiences. It allows you to tell them what's unique about your business, and then also those special designations that you may acquire if you qualify for them, and I help you get certified in. The government is always looking, they have target goals to hit these set-asides. And if they know a vendor is out there that qualifies in that set-aside category, they may write the solicitation to that set-aside, knowing that someone's out there. So that gives you a leg up, because no one else can bid on it if you're out there. It depends on the amount of the contract, but sometimes if it's too high, they need to have at least 2 in that category. Otherwise, they can open it up for everyone. And I can help you create one of those. You can have Tamara design it, but I can help you get the information in there. So that is pretty much the process of what you need to do. You can sit down, talk with me, and did I mention there's no charge for my services? And I can assist with that market research. We have grad assistants who can do some very detailed, in-depth market research for you. And I can help you, I can introduce you to the tools so you can do some on your own, and just kind of walk you through the process. The registrations can be kind of fun, a little tricky. The websites can be a little quirky, and they're always changing and updating information. So sometimes it's easy to find, sometimes it's not. But I'd be happy to meet with you, sit down, talk with you about opportunities, and help you with research. Any questions?
Can you give us a feel for what types of contracts you've seen awarded in the Lincoln area, both on the high end and maybe on the small end?
Well, I've been doing this since February. So, I've seen everything from newsletter creations for departments to big, huge construction contracts. We have, I didn't bring them up, but we have some yearly reports. That we highlight a few businesses with. And one we highlighted down in Fairbury last year, they make the ramps to get in and out of vehicles, and they sell a ton of them to the VA and through the VA. There's a gentleman out in western Nebraska that makes greenhouses, the geothermal greenhouses, and he's found a niche with the Indian reservations. And so there's all kinds of strange opportunities out there. Some are services, some are goods. But like I said, once you find them classified, you can get in and do some research to see where it's being spent.
Share a little bit about GSA contracts. Do you interact with that, and how does a person get on? I've had that experience, so I'm curious to know.
GSA is a fun one. It takes I haven't walked anyone through that application yet. The company I mentioned in Fairbury, we got them on the GSA schedule, but that all happened before I came on. From what I've understood, you spend the first month or two getting everything uploaded, and then they sit on it for like 6 months, and then they come back and negotiate a price with you, whether this is a good or service, and they put the screws on you in the negotiating phase. They expect to get your best price, and it's in the rules of the schedule that should you offer a lower price to a commercial client, you have to go back and reimburse them what you charge them over that amount, and if it's in the duration of the GSA schedule contract.
Just to share some information, I had my office furniture business. If you're a small startup, you have to go through that process. But if you're a distributor type business where you have products or services, we had the state of Nebraska account, and they leveraged the GSA contract, so we had to match that pricing and those services. Then in turn, the city county wanted on that contract, and they did. We were able to sell to them, and then LDS accessed that. But what we had to do is find manufacturers of office furniture that already had negotiated that GSA contract. But that allows you then to leverage those. We put stuff out at the airbase, with LAS, the city county offices, all of the state of Nebraska, literally from coast to coast. We had that contract. Now the money wasn't in the contract because literally they purchased that furniture at a 72% discount. My only competitor was the Nebraska state penal system. They were the first choice. They would have to buy it from, if a federal or government agency wanted to buy it, they had to buy it from the prison system first. We won't go into that discussion. But the other side of that coin was, in addition to the products, there were services added. Design, in this case, office design, and installation. Those quite often were separately negotiated, but you still had to meet a certain level of standard, and you had to prove capabilities. I'm sharing that story only because there are other avenues to be able to get in there and to government business.
Yeah, a GSA schedule is one option.
Yeah,
What you're
it's
doing
one-
is
yeah, it's one-
you're locking your prices in, and just to let everyone else know what a GSA schedule is then that is a listing that government entities can turn to pre-approved vendors at pre negotiated prices, so you know exactly how much you're gonna spend, and you know that the government has approved this vendor to work with. So you may not be the only one in that system. And the people who oversee the GSA schedule still want you to do everything that I was telling you about. They want you marketing your business within their system. And if you do not get a contract within 3 years, or someone purchasing your services, then they review your status and you may be dismissed. And it is a lot of time and a lot of effort to get into there. And so you really, you need to, again, it can be a good thing. For this company in Fairbury, is a great thing. But you need to do your research before you go to that effort. Because I have a client who has a service-based company, and they're being a subcontractor for a much larger service provider located out in DC. And they approached me about getting on the GSA schedule themselves. And so I went in and I pulled up all the information that they're a subcontractor for that company, and showed them. I said, okay, here's their rates. Here's what they say they will do. And this is kind of the model you'll have to follow, because this is exactly what you're doing. Can you afford to provide the service at these rates? And they were just like, wow, I didn't know I could get this. So it's a real eye-opener. And I recommend doing it just to know what your competition's up to. What's their bottom line dollar? And I won't go into my experiences with state solicitation processes of the good, best, and final offers. That's a fun one to deal with. So, any other questions? Yes?
The federal government has an initiative to encourage 100% Native American-owned businesses for other businesses to invest in them, and they help them to bring businesses to the Native American-owned businesses on a federal level. Has that transcended to a state level?
I don't have any Native American, I don't have a reservation in my territory. The gentleman in northeast Nebraska does. And I can tell you, he is working very diligently with a number of companies within the reservations to secure that business and to promote those incentives. So has it translated? Probably not as much as it should, but I know the gentleman in northeast Nebraska is working on it.
How do I get a front with you?
Just contact me. We'll get one set up. So,
I get a list.
you got what? You got a list?
List.
Oh.
Okay, I get requests for sources sought.
Uh-huh.
And so if you put in for a sources sought, I presume it gets you on a list that's somebody that the government will look to fulfill a contract.
Mhm.
Are you rated in that when you put in a sources sought, or what do they do with the data once they get it for a sources sought?
Well, I think you kind of answered your own question. Yeah, they're gathering businesses that can provide that product or service, and then what they do is they compare them. I've not sat down with contracting officers as of yet to say, okay, what exactly you do. I think that probably varies from agency to agency and project to project. It really depends. As I mentioned, lowest price isn't always what they're after. I was out at the Defense Logistics Agency that does a lot of the Department of Defense purchasing. One of them, I believe there's 5 of them in the United States, and this one was in Columbus, Ohio. And you know, they do not want sole source providers, and they will go to great lengths to get a second company to provide that product, to where if there's a sole source provider, if they've been there for a couple of years, if they can get another provider in there, that new provider is guaranteed a solicitation in the next year, should they need the product, is guaranteed, and the company that the sole source provider before cannot underbid that company. They will, because they realize that this other company wants to, startups they need the capital. And so they won't allow them to underbid them so much to where this other company can't even get their foot in the door then. So that new company will it gives them a year to get solicitations and get up and running. Because they figure if there is competition, they're generally paying 30% less. So, but yeah, I mean, can I tell you exactly what they do? No, I can't.
I also get the SOLMLBSM user emails every day. And they have a whole list of solicitations on there. And some of them say market research. And I've never quite been able to figure out what that is.
Well, the GSA does a lot of market research. What they're doing in those months that you're waiting is they're going out and they're comparing your services to other companies' services, and then they're gathering information on pricing, and they're doing all the research that I recommend you do, but they're checking out your competitors. They're trying to find out, okay, who is this person? What are they providing? And then at what cost should we expect them to come in at? And if they bring in a price, they know where to negotiate you down to, or whatever. So there's a lot of that goes on. Contracting officers, they'll also have to do market research for those set-asides. They have to go out and see, okay, are there businesses in this particular industry that are in one of the set-asides, and if so, can we put this solicitation out and say that it has to be a woman-owned small business, because we know there's 2, 3, 4 women-owned small businesses in this category that can provide the service, and we want one of them to get it.
So they're looking at companies and prices of the products.
I would say.
Okay. What about a government first article? Sometimes that's included in the solicitations.
I'll have to check on that. I'm not off the top of my head. I can't.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the term, but I'm not bringing up specifics on it.
And a lot of these say that they talk about qualifications. So I presume you have to actually submit a sample, or what are they looking for there for qualification of your business?
Well, again, that will depend on the solicitation, because qualification could mean, do you have all the appropriate technical licenses to perform the work? It could mean, do you have proper certifications on, especially with doing software or IT work, It could mean many things as to be qualified. But one, are you registered with the federal government? That's the first qualification. But yeah, it could mean a number of things.
Okay. I went to an Encountering Innovation down in Wichita.
Mhm.
Where did you?
That's Way's area.
Okay. When are we going to get one in Nebraska?
In Nebraska?
Next question.
Yeah, that's Way's area.
Okay.
I know I think, did you take part in the Innovation Campus where you met and talked with?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's, Way is in charge of the SBIR program.
Okay.
And so she has it's all that done. I have not heard of another one coming up because the applications just closed for a lot of the SBIR grants. And so I imagine they're in the process of reviewing all those, and they'll pick back up next spring.
Yeah, they
probably.
had a few people there, and it was quite illuminating, so. And one of the things that came up there was, one of the guys presented this app that he developed called Vulcan. Are you familiar with Vulcan?
Mhm.
Okay, well, anyway, it seems like a way to get into government procurement, and so it was, I filled out all this stuff, and I'm on Vulcan, so hopefully that'll bring something up, and I was just hoping to learn a little more about it. Or something.
Yeah, that's not, Way didn't mention that.
Okay.
That's not come up in any of our meetings.
Okay.
So I'll have to check that out.
Okay, thank you.
Trying to remember. Oh, on the qualifications, so when they put out the solicitation, do they specify what qualifications they're looking for so that you can identify whether or not you fit those or not?
Yes. Yes, those solicitations can be several hundred pages long.
Great efficiency of our government. They come with a summary page maybe? Or you actually have to read all 100 pages?
You need to read through all of it. And it can be daunting at first, but once you get that summary in your head of, okay, they're asking this, it breaks down pretty easily.
Quentin, are they still using an electronic version of Congress Business Daily? Is that still out there as a source?
It used to be CCR,
Yeah.
and now it's SAM.
Yeah, okay.
And they're releasing Beta SAM here early next year.
Say a little
Or I
bit
like to
about
I like to refer to it as Son of Sam. But anyway, what was the
I
thought?
was just gonna say, share that a little bit of what that resource is to people.
Well, SAM is just your registration to do business and get paid with the federal
Well, there's
government.
that, but and I've been out of the business.
Are you talking Fed Biz Ops?
Well, what it used to be, it was a printed version / electronic version of everything that's gonna come out for bids. or-
Yeah, that's Fed Biz Ops.
Yeah, is that?
Yeah, that's
still
part
there?
of one of the websites.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, there's several. I mean, Lancaster County has their own.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So there's
And
multiple
to your
ones.
point, the state lacks on that. They kind of.
State lacks that, yeah.
They put it out whenever they have a need, and it's done the old-fashioned way. You literally come in and pick up a document.
I think the city of Omaha sends postcards. And
I had
the
that
state of
experience.
Nebraska will send letters to certain, and not everyone gets contacted.
No.
That can be in there, so you have to
You have to have a
watch
relationship.
you have to kind of watch and be on your toes with them. Yes, Dan?
So if you're thinking of perhaps going down this road, you're going through your, the research to see whether or not it fits with what your business is doing product service wise. What's a reasonable time frame that people should be expecting to get ramped up into the program?
Well, that SAM registration can take up to 8 weeks for you just to be approved to do business. I've seen it come back in as little as 2 days. I have one that I submitted October 19th that I'm still waiting on. So that's just to get registered in SAM. I would say it's a good 6 to 8 month process before you would see any contract on the federal level. Now, the city and state, that could go much quicker. Anything else?
Quentin, thank you very much. As a thank you, we want to present Quentin with one of our Focus Suite mugs, and that will replace his Apple mug that I know he's fond of. So here you go, thank you. All right. Feel free to hang around as long as you like, network, exchange business cards, meet the other people here. There's no need to rush off unless you need to. Hope to see you next week for Tasty Good Toffee. And if you're not getting our email newsletter every week that announces our speaker, let me have your business card before you go.